Jack McCall is a literary agent. He is able to talk to anyone and uses his skills both at business meetings and in the coffee shop, so as not to stand in line for a cup of coffee. Even a psychologist does not have time to record or insert a word during the reception. Jack does not keep silent for a second. "I'm much better. You're a genius." The Parker has been asking Jack to read his manuscript for a day, but he ignores him every time. Aaron, his assistant, also hopes to become a successful agent, but he doesn't have the talent to speak confidently and quickly like his boss. At the same time, Jack always reads only the first and last 5 pages of the manuscripts. In the negotiation, Jack conducts a presentation dedicated to Dr. Sinja. His philosophy is based on the fact that happiness is contained in silence. This spiritual flow is extremely popular today, and if you sign a contract with Dr. Sinja, their agency can make a lot of money. Jack is sure that he can persuade anyone to do anything, so he went to meet with the guru. However, he ridicules his methods and interferes with meditation for the lovers of silence. Jack pretends to have achieved enlightenment, which, however, other students do not succeed for years. And by deception gets into separate chambers to the same Sinja. But the guru understands that the scoundrel is messing with his head, so they offer Jack to confess what he really wants from him. The literary agent reveals the cards and offers to publish Sinja's recently written book. But the guru is not interested, he wants to talk about nature, about trees. Jack continues to ride Sinja by the ears, and he is interested. The agent has generally read his book. Jack lies that he was reading and suddenly injures his hand from the Bodhi tree. Dr. Sinja is ready to go on a deal, if Jack will distribute his book as the teaching pleases. And they shook hands. "Don't forget, our words will have an impact on the whole universe." The boss told Aaron about the deal, and on the way back he drove to his mother's house in the elderly. The woman confuses her son with her deceased husband and calls him Raymond. Jack is not very pleased, because his father left them. It seems that mom will soon remember her son, but she called him Raymond again. Jack went home, leaving his sad mother alone. Caroline would like to move to a new house, because their current housing is not at all like a family nest. This slum is dangerous for their little son. "But I have to change Tyler's clothes at the bar. He sleeps in that movie theater. It's like we're guests in your house." In the end, Jack agreed to repaint the cinema in bright colors. Suddenly the house shook and a tree grew in the yard in an instant. The gardener assures Jack that he has nothing to do with it. Bolton found out the tree that had been scratched. There was even a stain of his blood on it. Apparently, this is such a gift from Dr. Sinja. "It's not bad at all," Jack says. 2 leaves fall from the tree. In the morning, when he came to the office, the agent complained that he didn't feel important. Sinja sent his book. Jack was enthusiastic about this news until he found out that the book was written for him. There are only 5 pages in it. Jack grabbed the brochure and went to deal with Sinja. Jack is constantly sneezing and talking about the tree that appeared on his lawn. When he arrived at the agent, Dr. Sinja noticed that one of the branches was already completely naked. Jack said a few more words and a few more leaves fell. The guru thought about it. "It's amazing. Jack and the tree are connected from now on." The more words Bolton says, the more leaves fall, and the worse it becomes for Jack. And what happens when they all fall? It turns out that Jack will die. "I can die." "Yes, but it will be the most amazing death on earth." Sinja assumes that there are about 1,000 leaves left on the tree. This is the amount of words left for the amateur to talk. Jack grabbed the axe. And, cutting through the tree, flew away. He had a wound in his side. Jack accuses in the curse of Sinja, but he sees something like it for the first time. He just heard a similar legend. There was one monk, and he is already dead. Sinja flies to Bolivia for 3 days, and there he will ask his colleagues about the tree. He gives advice to Jack to keep silent for at least 3 days. But how to do things for him? The boss doesn't believe him. Suddenly Jack had leaves flying out of his mouth, but it was just a dream. It's a pity that he didn't dream of the tree itself. It turned out that he can't even write notes. The effect is the same. For Jack, even an order of coffee became a problem. On the way, a blind man asked to inform when the green light would light up. Jack's forced blindness almost led to tragedy. He was almost hit by a bus, several cars collided, but at least he saved the blind man. At the reception of the psychologist, Jack finally silences. And the psychologist too. Only the eyes are running. The parking lot, on the emotions, tries to guess whether the agent liked his handwriting. He accepted the silence for superiority and decided to take revenge. Aaron, as always, tries to serve the boss, but he is constantly silent. Is he guilty of something? Is this about the Christmas party? I'm so sorry, I didn't want to kiss your wife, it's all a drink. Jack definitely found the tapes on which it is imprinted how they made fun of the secretary. During a meeting with French colleagues, the agent needs to tell about Dr. Singer, but he pulled only 3 words out of himself. Life is a journey. Then he reluctantly repeated them a few more times. The awkward conversation ended and the squirrels climbed on the tree and Jack was all scratched. The next business meeting will take place in a restaurant, and Jack instructs to speak to his assistant. However, Aaron chose a strange strategy for the negotiations. He behaves like a complete moron and talks like some kind of gopnik. The gardener is watering the trees, which makes Jack sweat. The glasses man heard the offer to pay for the book and began to press the publisher as if he was a school hooligan. When Aaron realized that he had screwed up, it was already too late. Of course, the problems did not end there. In the kindergarten, Jack needs to sing songs with other fathers. VZHYK repeated Papa several times and lost a little more chastity. In the evening, his wife wanted to discuss family matters, and Jack turned to his already familiar pantomime. Such an approach almost led to a quarrel. He spits out one word from himself, and his wife interprets them in her own way. As a result, Caroline was still offended and threatened to keep silent just like Jack. Using a valuable stock of words, Jack called Dr. Singer, but he still didn't find out anything. A new day, and Jack has already found a way to Boris. The boss counts the agent for a broken deal. Now he will be called from another publishing house, and he must not get into trouble. Jack has found a solution to his problem and uses the figure of Austin Powers, who answers every question, yes, baby. But this is not enough for a full conversation, so he asks Aaron to bring all the talking toys that he will find in the office. With the help of his toy orchestra, Jack managed to increase the fee exactly twice. Meanwhile, a friend threw something into Caroline's bag to please her husband. They have a romantic date at the hotel with Jack today. At first, the man was not sent there, but in the right room, his wife was already waiting for him in a BDSM suit. Caroline offers the following rules. The more Jack says, the more she does. She offers her husband not to be shy. But he only stumbles in response to her seductive speeches. The woman was upset and dressed. She wanted to lighten the passion in their relationship. Because they can't even talk normally lately. Caroline asks Jack to say that he loves her. For this matter, he is ready to sacrifice 3 leaves. But the wife wants to hear much more, and he was forced to be silent. With the help of a minimal set of words, Jack told her about the licking tree. But Caroline thought that her husband had a middle-aged crisis and kicked him out of the room in one pair of underwear. The publishing house is already ready to sign the contract, but its representatives are waiting for them to send the book. As you remember, it consists of only 5 pages. Jack needs to solve this problem. At this point, the gardener began to process the tree with chemicals. And Jack got high. He smiles stupidly and comes to the publishers with food and his bosses. Then the secretary brought a 5-page booklet, and disappointed publishers left the restaurant, and Jack was fired. Then he describes his situation to Aaron on the board. Surprisingly, the guy quickly understood what was going on. True, he thinks that the boss just ate acid, and then Jack had to show the assistant in action how it all happened and lost a few more leaves. He left Aaron at the tree and went to do good deeds in the hope of stopping the leaf fall. Throwing homeless people's bread and donations did not help. The rescue of Pushka also did not affect anything. Jack looks at a family photo with his mother and father. And then he sat under a tree and began to meditate, remembering his childhood. In the evening, the angry Jack met with Dr. Sijia. During these 3 days, he lost his job and his wife left him. Nerves give up. But Siege does not know how to help him, no one has even heard of such a tree. However, he advises Jack to calm down and find out the truth about himself, but this can only be done in silence. If he loves his wife, then it is necessary to show it by deed, and not to scatter words. However, Jack decided that it would be easier for him to get drunk. Aaron, who was upset to see the boss in this form, was waiting for him at home. Jack broke down and stopped holding himself. He says as much as he wants and even sings songs. Aaron attacked Jack and cut him off so that he would finally shut up. And he also glued tape to his mouth. There was only one thin branch of leaves left on the tree. This did not please Jack when he came to his senses. At first he tore off the tape, but then glued it again. Then he poured the tree and thoughtfully turned to him. They called from the elderly home. Mom has a birthday and she is waiting for her husband's arrival. Jack put the phone down, and then saw how the butterfly sat on the Sinja's book. He finally decided to read it. After that, Jack came to his wife and used only a few words to tell Caroline that they are forever together. Then he jumped into the barista and gave him a rare album as a melomaniac. "Thank you," said Jack in response to gratitude. Then he approached the Parker, gave the manuscript and said, ingeniously, "Sold," handing out a check for $10,000. It's a pity that the car was already covered with pigeons. Then Jack just went for a walk along the pier to watch people, listen to what they say. Sitting on the shore, he remembers the closest people and finally comes to visit his mother. He introduced himself to Raymond. Jack gave his mother the opportunity to tell her husband about how she lives, how lonely she is. But she can count on her son who comes to her all the time. She is so proud of them. True, there is a lot of anger in him. Jack blames himself for the fact that his father left the family. She would very much like him to forget about this anger. Jack cried, and Mom finally called him by name. "While Mom, I love you," said the man, and there were only 3 leaves left on the tree. At the end of the journey, Jack visited the grave of his father. In his head, he had a conversation with a little one. Only he was instead of his father. The boy complains that he so rarely appeared in his life, and then he did not become. You never know which conversation will be the last. "I forgive you," Jack says his last 3 words. There are no more leaves on the tree. It rained and Jack fell to the ground. But he didn't die. Aaron called the boss and told him that the tree was alive and flourished. Jack can speak freely again. He wrote a book called 1,000 Words and is very grateful to the guru for his help. Aaron became his agent, who also accepted the teaching of Sinja, and he is supporting his assistant Jack Sloth. But he gets stressed when young trees roll into his office. Jack finally fulfilled Caroline's dream and bought a cozy house in the suburbs for them. He showed his wife that he loved her. Jack himself likes that there is silence around. At the same time, the Bodhi tree itself moved after the owner.